Wow, wow. What's up, party people? Welcome to another episode of Elevate Your Life. I am your hostess with the mostess. L as in the letter L, and key as in the key to your heart. So thank you for tuning in on this Wisdom Wellness Wednesday, September 24th. Still want to make sure that I am acknowledging all of my birthday listeners out there. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a loyal listener. I also want to make sure that I give a shout out to my loyal subscribers. Mike Kaufman, thank you for being a loyal subscriber. Roger Haven, how are you, Roger? Long time no talk or see. How does your garden grow? For those of you that are loyal listeners, you know that I tend to comment on his skills for gardening, baking, cooking, lifting weights at the gym, various different things. Shout out to my girl, Kara, lovemyartist.etsy.com. If you haven't looked at her website yet, highly recommend you do so. I'm always telling you that she has video montages and birthday announcements, anniversary, wedding proposal, asking someone to be the best man or maid of honor, along with very unique artistry, paintings, wall decor, clothing, shoes, laptop bag, boots, a variety of things. Eventually, I'll be coming for you, Kara. Just as soon as I hit the lottery. Anyway, you know what I mean by that, right? Let's see. Thank you, Lisa Roberts Curbello, for being a loyal sponsor. I see that you attended a mutual friend's birthday party. It was good to see your smiling face. Hopefully, I see it in person before your birthday in November. And of course, shout out to Kyle Few, commitment to love. Love is a verb. I'm hoping that there's been a change of plans with moving to another country. Please keep me informed in this. And of course, Jeff Para. Good to see you out there enjoying sprinter life and spending time with your girly girl, your loved one. Glad that you are happy and thriving. And speaking of thriving, let me just talk about today's topic. You're going to hear me drinking a lot tonight. Because per usual, my good old OLP, autoimmune condition, is making it very challenging for me to talk. So let me just apologize. That's one of the reasons why I didn't show up on Monday, besides the fact that my day job is kicking my ass, y'all. As you all know, I work as a special education para for Fallon Middle School. Love my job, love my kids, love the staff. But this year is the toughest yet because we're very understaffed. And just more challenges with scheduling kiddos. Yeah. So I apologize for not showing up consistently. But Monday was a struggle. Not only was I physically, mentally, every sense of the word exhausted. My mouth was also in a bad way. So lately I've been contemplating my topics, and then all of the sudden something will come to me. And for tonight's episode, I was kind of in my feels, well, for a number of reasons. And bear with me, guys. You're going to hear me yawning and drinking and all of that. I've had some health stuff going on, keeping me up at night. And so I'm a mess, but I'm here. That's also one of the reasons I haven't been on video, because I just don't feel like I'm presenting my best self. Although the hair is growing out into something new, it's changing, evolving, growing. So when I can present myself properly, I will do so. So what I've been thinking about is, why am I going through these struggles? Why am I going through these challenges? Why am I being faced with adversity? And then after doing much research, listening, YouTube watching, podcast, antidotes, YouTubes, all kinds of different things, I went back to remembering why all of these things happen. And a lot of us think that we are in control of what happens to us in the world today. But that's a farce. We are not. We are not in control of what's happening around us, because the universe responds to us and actions, and everything is created with energy, right? And so I realize, instead of looking at this, oh man, why did this happen? And why did I get stuck with this? I started remembering kind of what I had shared with Jeff Pata when I had him as a guest. I used to say, what is the lesson here? And so I reminded myself to look at it as not as an obstacle, but an opportunity. So when things change, our schedule changes, something happens with the job, a relationship, a friendship, exchange with colleagues, a family dynamic, whatever the case may be, our initial reaction is, oh my God, what can we do to fix this? Because I have to control this situation. When in fact, maybe these things are happening to dictate your next move, to evolve, to change, to grow. None of us want to remain stagnant, right? I used to have this saying, the comfort zone is a great place to be, but nothing ever grows there. And I still believe that to be true. If we don't open our mind, our hearts, our thoughts, our ideas to, why did this just happen? Why did that happen with my friend, my partner, my colleague? Why did this happen at my job? Why did they change my schedule? Why did they move me with a different student? All of these things are divine intervention for something much greater to teach us, to help us endure something we didn't know that we had the strength or the stamina to endure. Or maybe just using the examples that I used, maybe these things are put in place to challenge us, to develop us. Like I said, to help us evolve, grow, change. So I'm always sharing with you about how I have a growth mindset, and there's some people that have a fixed mindset. And so I realized with all these things that have been happening within the past few weeks, even at a staff meeting today, something happened. I got frustrated. I got annoyed. I was like, oh, this teacher was trying to pay me a compliment, and no one heard it. No one clapped. No one acknowledged it. And it's like, okay, I have a choice. I can sit here and be mad and hurt and sad about this, or I can realize that she spoke my truth, that she recognized my worth, and I know that I am helpful in the classroom. And so, do I really need everyone in this room to acknowledge it? Do I need it? No. Do I appreciate it? Yes. Why am I looking for that? Why am I so concerned about those words of affirmation? Why do they mean so much to me amongst my peers? Well, it goes back to my childhood. When it came to my mom, there were no words of affirmation. There were no physical touch. It was do this, do this, do that. Make sure you do it perfectly. I'll give you an example. One of the chores my brother and I had to do was make my mom's bed every day. Some of you might think that sounds absurd, but there were various chores that my brother and I had, and making my mom's bed was one of them. And she was very particular on how her bed was made. It's so funny because I'll catch myself being like my mom. Like I'll go into those moments where I'm like, oh, this is what mom did. But I'm glad she taught me that. Anyway, going back to that. So we had to make her bed. It was a rarity that my brother helped. He usually chose to go be with a friend or half-ass helped or chose one of the other chores because he didn't want to do that one. Anyway, one of the chores was making her bed. And I don't just mean tuck in the sheets and pull the bedspread and put the pillows. No, I mean military corners, and there could not be a wrinkle in the sheet. And it was to such the extreme, excuse me, that she would make it a point to tell me the next day when I got in my bed last night, the fitted sheet had wrinkles. And I would just be like, how do you even know that? Like, what? That is crazy, right? Or she would say, that they weren't military corners or, you know. So she was very particular. And I'm not going to lie, I make my bed the same way. And if I happen to ask my husband or a guest that's over and I happen to be doing it and they offer to help or whatever, I'm like, that's fine, you can help, but just know I make my bed a certain way. And well, I don't expect them to have every wrinkle out, although pretty damn close. And I definitely like to have the military corners because I like to get into a tucked in bed. I don't like a bed that where like you get in and, the sheets aren't covered, especially during the cold season. Oh no. I want to get in and be the human burrito. So anyway, just thinking about all of those things and realizing all of these things are preparing us for what's to come. For, I'm not saying, oh, yeah, my mom teaching us about making the bed. Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent. I didn't mean to. I guess what I'm trying to say is everything that happens, it is for a reason, and it is to prepare us for the next thing in our lives: relationship, job, responsibility, adversity. So, going back to what happened today, why I brought up my mom is I realized that words of affirmation and physical touch were so important to me because I didn't get them. I didn't receive them growing up. And if I did, man, I tell you, I had to have been the perfectionist at everything. Make the bed, prepare the dinner, set the table. I mean, everything had to be to perfection. And then I would be rewarded with a good job. Thank you for doing all these things. I appreciate you. And so I realized today I really wanted my principal because when the teacher made the announcement, so here's how it goes, everyone. At the beginning of our meeting, the principal will say, does anybody have anything they want to share or whatever? And somebody will go, yes, I want to give a shout out to so-and-so for doing a great job on this spreadsheet. And everybody will go, yeah, great job, and clap and kudos. Well, today, when this teacher said, first, I want to bring up Miss Elke. She's so helpful with me and my students in the classroom. And the principal went, Elke? And then she was like, and secondly, Mr. Wiggerling showed me how to do the care coins. And they're like, oh, great. And then when they moved on to the next person, they're like, hey, I just want to send a shout out. I got a free Gatorade today. Someone brought me a free drink. Where did that come from? P-Lit? Oh, yeah, from Lit. Thank you. And the whole room clapped. And I was sitting there going, what the actual, what just happened? Am I being punked? Am I on video right now? And it made me realize something so much bigger, which is as the aides, as much as we know that we are needed and doing our job to make sure our kids are learning and learning social skills and following directions and making friends and all of the things, keeping them safe, all of that, that when it comes down to it, we don't always get the acknowledgement or praise that we would like to get. And so what ends up happening is it creates a bit of a divide. So when there are work functions and I say, hey, to my colleagues, are we all going to go and show up? And they go, I don't go to those things. They're not going to miss us. They don't care about us. And I'm like, that's why we need to show up. That's why we need to be a presence to them so that they know we are part of the staff and we are important. And then after listening to everything I listened today, I realized it doesn't take away how well we're doing our job every day. We know that we are giving it our best, and we're doing it not only because it's a job and we're getting paid for it, but because we love what we do. I will say, though, to any of my staff members that are listening to this podcast, it still is nice to be acknowledged as a part of the staff. And it's still nice to hear, good job. We appreciate you. There's like a newsletter email that goes out once a week, I believe. And even once a month, it'll have all these things on the calendar and it'll say, oh, shout out to so-and-so who's been here this long, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I've been there going on 4 years now, and I haven't seen anything talking about the AIDS. Just saying. Would be nice. It would be nice if they could recognize us and give us a shout out and acknowledge our efforts. But they're always saying mothers and teachers are like the most selfless job that you never get enough praise for, or you can't get paid enough. And I have to say, I'm seeing that. So I guess what I'm trying to share on this Wisdom Wellness Wednesday today is that if you are faced with challenges, obstacles, adversity, things that you are wondering, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? What does this mean? What is this about? Maybe instead of looking at it as, why do I keep facing these obstacles? Maybe look at it as, what are these opportunities that keep getting presented to me? What does the world have in store for me? Where is it leading me? And be excited about it and embrace it instead of resisting it. Because maybe it's going to open new doors for a new relationship, job, growth, evolving, changing, adapting, overcoming, all of the above. So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening, being a loyal listener. Shout out to Dory for being a loyal listener. Travis, I don't know, I haven't seen your comments lately. Shout out to Kara and my loyal listeners that have been commenting. Rhonda, Danae. I'm trying to remember by going down the list. Andrew, Miss Nyan, Miss Samina, and anyone else out there who listens secretly. You know, if you're secretly listening, remember to secretly like, comment, share, because that like and comment and share, it helps the algorithm. So it gets my podcasts out there more and gives me more exposure to more people, so where more people will listen. So instead of secretly listening, please take the time, make the time to like the episode if you liked it, to comment on the episode if you have any comments, any feedback. Oh, Barry Minard. Let me not forget him. Anyway, I'm sure there's several others that I forgot to include, but it means a lot when you do that. You help me grow and evolve, which is what we're talking about. So thank you all for tuning in. And remember, like, comment, subscribe. Ciao for now.